It's probably fair to say that no one expected AC/DC's seventh album to be an enormous success. Formed by brothers Malcolm and Angus Young and fronted by singer Bon Scott, the Australian band's previous album, Highway to Hell, had broken the top 20 in the UK. But in February 1980, tragedy struck. Bon Scott was found dead in a parked car in East Dulwich, South London. The night before, he'd been out in London's Camden, watching bands and drinking heavily. On the drive home, Bon was in such a state that his companion couldn't wake him, so he left him in the car. He never woke again. Acute alcohol poisoning, said the death certificate. Death by misadventure. Bon Scott was 33, and AC/DC looked like they were finished. At Bon's funeral, the singer's father told Angus and Malcolm Young that they had to carry on. The band regrouped in London and began auditioning singers, and there was one guy whose name kept coming up. He was called Brian Johnson, a singer from the Northeast who'd briefly tasted chart success as part of glam rockers Geordie. In fact, Bon Scott himself had recommended Brian. Shortly before he died, he'd raved about the singer for this band he'd seen in Newcastle. Malcolm and Angus remembered it because Bon never raved about anyone. When producer Mutt Lang also mentioned Brian, the band took the hint and invited Jono down to London to audition. But Brian was reluctant. He felt burnt by the music business after being put through the ringer with Geordie.
Never been for an audition in my life. You know, I can't go to London, you know. I can't afford it.
You really couldn't afford to go down to London?
No, I was broke.
In the end, he only took the trip to London because he was offered a chance to sing on a new advert for Hoover.
It's easy as ABC. The new high power compact from Hoover. It's a beautiful mover.
At the audition, the band knew instantly they found their man.
As soon as I walked in, it was like a real friendly atmosphere. They just said, oh, hello, and had a can of brown ale waiting for us. You know, the News from Newcastle.
Brian Johnson was announced as the new singer for AC/DC on April 1st, 1980, just 6 weeks after Bon Scott's death. Recording for Back in Black started weeks later at Compass Studios on the island of Nassau in the Bahamas. The first song they recorded was the title track. Built on a juddering riff, it sounded like the blues might if it was deconstructed by Satan and then rebuilt by Tony Stark. Just as Brian began to worry that he was going to run out of ideas for lyrics, a storm broke outside. Rolling thunder, he wrote. Then he heard the rain. Pouring rain, he wrote again. The wind whipped up. I'm coming on like a hurricane. By the end of the night, the opening track, Hell's Bells, with its mournful tolling bell intro, was in the can. The inspiration kept on coming. Brian claimed later that he felt an almost supernatural force helping him along, and Bon Scott had an influence on some of the songs. Have a Drink on Me had already been demoed with Bon on drums, and What Do You Do for Money, Honey was around from the recording of the Power Rage album. But as the songs came, the music was more sophisticated than before. Let Me Put My Love Into You was slow burning. Shoot to Thrill had a funky breakdown. And You Shook Me All Night Long was tailor-made for radio with a huge sing-along chorus. The album was released on the 25th of July, 1980, packaged in an all-black sleeve that the record company tried and failed to get them to change. It was AC/DC's tribute to Bon Scott. Out of tragedy had come AC/DC's greatest triumph. Not only did the album go to number 1 in the UK, previous releases Highway to Hell, Let There Be Rock, and live album If You Want Blood joined it in the top 100 as people bought up the band's back catalogue. In America, Back in Black stayed in the charts for 131 weeks. To date, it's the second biggest selling album of all time after Michael Jackson's Thriller. Not only is it the greatest comeback album of all time, it's also arguably the greatest rock album ever made and still an influence on pop culture.
How much more black could this be? And the answer is none. None
Is that good?
more black.
The events of 1980, losing their friend and singer, and coming back from that stronger and wiser, had given AC/DC's music something the band had never had before: gravitas. It wasn't sad or depressing. Back in Black was a wake for Bon, a celebration of his life, a full-throated, big-hearted party that said goodbye to Bon and welcomed a new member into the gang. Brian Johnson...
right, welcome back into another episode of Tunes Brothers. I am Rob, that is Darren, that is Scott, and this is Scott's brainchild as we continue down the highway to hell with AC/DC. So I'm going to let him let you know what's up.
All right, dudes, this is the pinnacle of AC/DC right here, man. And I can't say any differ. You know, there's a lot of things that I love on the even keel with AC/DC with this album. But when it comes to just a quadruple infinity multi-platinum album, man, that just does it from front to back, it's AC/DC Back in Black. They did it. They're one of the bands that put that album out. And at that time, and there you go. I mean, the rest is history. Nothing bad on here, in my opinion. We're going to hear their opinion too. I've lived with this album since it was birthed, you know, and I love it. I love it. And this is an album that never gets old to me. These songs never get old, no matter how much I hear them. Yeah, overplay. You know, you're going to hear a different strategy for me than most people on here because of that reason, but it's because I love these songs so much. So, AC/DC Back in Black, we're going to count down or count up from least favorite to favorite and see where we land.
Okay, I knew 5 songs on this album coming into it.
Really?
That's it. I knew Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution, Hell's Bells, and Shoot to Thrill. That's it.
Wow.
Well, this is an album that, I mean, I should say cassette. I had this cassette. I know this for a fact was in like my first 13 or whatever you got from Columbia House when you would get your first Etsy out for a penny. Back in Black was one of them, and it wasn't because I knew a lot of AC/DC. I had a friend that couldn't stop talking about AC/DC, so that's the reason why I picked it. So I've listened to, out of all of the AC/DC albums, this is the one that I know that I've listened to the most. I do, Scott, I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad about AC/DC. They've never been one of my all-time faves, but it's not a band that I love to hate either.
Yeah.
So I'm not familiar with their entire catalog by any means. I do know their most popular stuff, but I know this album the most.
Yeah.
And I take that back. There is another song that I heard, but only because Ransom would play it at the bars, and that's Have a Drink on Me.
Yeah, that's
what never heard it on the radio or anything like that. I just heard it in bars by cover bands and stuff.
That's the one that they would play quarters to. They'd have people come up out of the audience and play quarters to Have a Drink.
Yeah.
All right, who's starting this? Darren?
I'll give it a shot. At number 10, I have Shake a Leg. I think, to me, again, and I'm jumping in this on the fly. Shake a Leg, to me, it was just, out of everything else that's on this album, this to me is the most generic. I don't know if I would say anything on this album is filler, but that's where I would put that. I would put that in the filler category.
And I'm just aggravating you, man. There's nothing.
That's fine. I don't care. I will always give you my honest opinion. I'm not here to piss people off.
No, that's
to me. It's
like I said, man. There's nothing that I could do with this album and I could put these songs anywhere. So yeah, man.
Okay, so Scott's going last since he's the expert. My bottom 4. I don't dislike anything on this album. Let me get that out there right away. So that was nice. That's new for me on an AC/DC album. Usually there's a couple that I just absolutely don't like. But the ones I haven't heard before, I'm going to have nothing much to add to. because I literally listened to this, I think, twice before I had to head out to Minnesota. So I got Given the Dog a Bone at number 10. And the ones that did, believe it or not, two songs that I had never heard of jumped up above at least one of the iconic songs that I've heard for years. So I'm not just doing this based on what I know. I'm doing this on how it struck me. And just happens that these bottom three I don't know very well. Giving the Dog a Bone is number 10.
Well, ring the bell. Giving the Dog a Bone, number 10 for me. We matched on that one. And I love the song, dude. The only thing that I can say that if I'm going to say anything negative about anything on here is the repetition of Giving a Dog a Bone. You know, I mean, they do string it out a little bit, but it's not a bad repetition. You got good, you got bad. And it's just a freaking rockin' ass song, man, like everything else on here. So, number 10, Giving a Dog a Bone for me.
I missed it by that much because I put Giving the Dog a Bone at number 9. That's again, repetition. That was the major reason. Again, like Rob said, I don't dislike anything on this album. I think that they all had something to offer, but that one was just too repetitive.
Okay. My number 9, I believe, was Darren's number 10, Shake a Leg.
That must be his number 1.
Again, I do not dislike this song. It's just there's so much more on here that I like better, and that's just where it fell. Maybe if I had 20 years to listen to it like some of these other tracks, my tune would change. But as of right now, that's how it falls.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right. Number 9 for me, and this is probably going to blow the whole world's mind in the AC/DC camp, but You Shook Me All Night Long. And the only reason it's down there that far is because, my God, back in the day, hell, even today, that song you will hear like rock and roll all night. That was probably the biggest hit that AC/DC ever had. That was the song on the album that said, whew, and the album followed. And it's a song that, if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to double check. I'm pretty sure they play it every time, but I don't remember it being in the Black Ice Tour set list, but I'll have to double check it anyway. But I love the damn song, the intro, you know. And one more thing. Isn't it amazing how a band like this, coming off of a high and a low, losing your lead singer, and a high of getting a big hit with Highway to Hell, between 1979 and 1980, wrote these songs? I mean, literally. Hey, I'll be right back.
Yeah. You can see he is in love with AC/DC.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? Like I said, it's to each their own, right? I mean, there's certain bands that I know that I enjoy probably more than the average Joe. But and I think AC/DC for the most part was just a little bit before. Not like they didn't put stuff out when we were getting into music.
They weren't big when we were getting into music, though.
Well, this came out in 1980.
Yeah, they were big overseas, but they really, and Scott will tell you that, until I think Highway to Hell, they really struggled to get any traction in the United States. So that is a big part of it. You know, meanwhile, I'm hearing, you know, Boston and all this other stuff, and Judas Priest and Kiss and Ozzy, and So I mean, that's that. I think that's a huge reason why we didn't pick up on AC/DC is because, like me and Scott have discussed, they weren't huge here until around 1980.
And for me, growing up in a small town with an FM pop, light rock type radio station, no MTV. I had two older sisters that, one was a huge Elvis fan and the other one was into Meatloaf. I didn't have anybody else that I hung out with that played hard rock or metal type music until I met you. And so I know, like I said, I had this, but I didn't get it in 1980. I probably got it in like 87.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Okay.
So I think definitely a little bit before me.
We babbled to kill time while Scott was gone. Who's up?
It is me at number 8. And that's where I put what Scott had said for number 9. You Shook Me All Night Long. For me, it's, again, I think out of all the stuff from AC/DC, I mean, that's probably in the top 3 most overplayed. Not to say it's a bad song. I'm not going to say that. But for me, if you went to a party, that's what they played. If a cover band played something, that's what they played. It's just, to me, there's better stuff. There's better stuff on the album.
Okay. That brings me to my number 8, and that is Have a Drink on Me. It was fun while I was listening to it because, like you said, Ransom did the quarter thing. If you don't know, Scott, Ransom was a traveling band out of Omaha that kind of went Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. Very entertaining, and they'd have a section, and sometimes they did other songs, but they'd bring people up from the crowd to play quarters against each other on a table right on the dance floor while they played, and they'd have to, they'd give them the beer to drink and shit and just get everybody wasted. I don't mind the song, but I think if I wouldn't have nostalgia there, this probably would have been last. It just doesn't do a lot for me, but the nostalgia lifted it up for me.
Okay. All right. Duly noted, man. Number 8. Okay. And another shocker probably, but it's just because of overplay. That's self-titled Back in Black. Great song. I love it. I love everything about it, man. I love everything about the whole album, and there's nothing to pick at. Just great. There you go.
Okay.
All right. Number 7 for me was the last song on the album, Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. Again, I don't have a whole lot to add, as to the reason why. It's just, again, it's a good tune, very popular. I think this one. So this one's it's at 90. What is that? 600,000. So it's at 89 million listens on Spotify. So it's a pretty popular tune. But it, again,
which one was that?
Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution has 89 million listens on Spotify. It's definitely not the most listened to off this album. There are several above it, but again, it's a good tune. It's just, for me, there's better.
Yeah, it was one of their go-to tunes on the album too. Yeah.
Okay, that was your number 7?
Correct.
Okay, my number 7 is Shoot to Thrill. I do like LA Guns' song Shoot to Thrill much better. But this is a cool tune, surprising to me. I had not heard this one but a couple of times. When I saw the title, I knew I had heard it, but it was almost like hearing it for the first time. Very decent, solid tune, and on a number of other AC/DC records, this would have been much higher for me.
Have y'all seen the video they done for Iron Man 2 for this song?
I
No.
don't think so.
Wow. It'll blow you fucking away.
Well, I've seen the movie, but I can't remember. I don't remember the video.
Oh, man, it is freaking awesome. If y'all ever get a chance, check it out. Number 7 for me. Heavy rotation on my playlist, man. All these songs are, but this one comes up a lot. Let me put my love into you, babe.
Oh, that's heavy rotation. That must be just for you.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Great freaking song, dude. Just like the rest of them, man. Like I said, to put an album like this together, man, in that short a time, it makes you wonder, did they have any of this stuff? You know, I mean, my gosh, one song after Bon Scott's death did they write for this album. So, yeah, man.
okay.
All right, number 6. That's where I have the aforementioned "Let Me Put My Love Into You."
Nothing to add?
Nothing to add. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 6 for me, I will probably get blasted for. Other than it fit perfectly for what was happening in the movie on the release on another album, Hell's Bells has done nothing for me. It's a good song, but I think one of the most overrated AC/DC songs, if that makes sense. The Bell intro, believe it or not, I mean, is iconic. It inspired so much. I mean, down to like the Undertaker, the wrestler's intro. And I mean, it's definitely iconic, and they've kept the bells ever since, to my understanding, in the live act.
Yeah.
But overall, as a song, to me, it's just okay. I mean, it's not great. It's not bad. I just don't understand why it was so big.
Okay. All right. Now, you know, a lot of people uses that. You know, Kiss has used that bell in Gene Simmons'
in Gene's bass solo. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's my number 5, right? Hell's Bells.
Well, you should be on 6, right?
6. I mean, yes, 6. My bad.
Your 6 is Hell Bells?
Yeah, number 6 is Hell's Bells.
Okay, we hit one.
Yeah, we did. We've hit 2 so far.
Yep.
It's a great song. I love it, man. When they start rocking, Brian's vocals are just fucking insane on this album, man. I don't know what else to say. And this is a staple in every damn show. It's always there. So, yeah, Hell's Bells.
Well, I don't know what the hell the two of you are smoking, because I have that at number 5. I mean, it's, again, we're not that far off. Hell's Bells. Again, the intro is iconic, but the rest of it again, there's just so much good shit on this album that Hell's Bells comes in at 5.
Yeah.
And my number 5, we were right off, all of us, from each other by one. Let Me Put My Love Into You. This is one of the aforementioned songs that surprised me, that a song I hadn't heard would jump above one that I did. It's a good tune. Nothing that, would go on a playlist for me per se, and there's plenty of songs I've been introduced to by AC/DC since Scott's put me on this road that have jumped into my playlist, but this is still a good song nonetheless.
That is one of the Dirty Dozen, man, that was hauled into the PMRC, back when Dee Snider was,
Tipper Gore.
Yep, that was one of the songs right there. Yep. Number 5. I think one of you, I think Rob has touched on this one already, and it's always been around this area for me. I love it. These songs have got Bon Scott all over them, man. Have a drink on me, dude. Hell yeah. Hell's bells. Have a drink on me. Let me put my love into you. His raw, hardcore, just nasty, lyrics, man. You shook me all night long. It's just, they couldn't deny it, man. They hit it for a while, but they finally had to come clean. And wow, what a fucking album, dude. I hate he had to, I hate he died, but I hate he had to miss something like that after going through so much, man, to finally make it. But have a drink on me. Number 5, solid.
All right.
All right. For number 4, I have the title track Back in Black. I know, Scott, you'd put that at number 8. But for me, this is where I slot that in. So it cracked the top 5 for me. Again, a very popular song. I think Back in Black is on like 17 of their albums. It just seemed to come out. It was like I bought again, when I was buying stuff off of
BMG or Columbia,
right.
Those, yeah.
I think I got 3. I think I got 3 AC/DC cassettes, and they all have Back in Black on it. It's
Really?
like, what do they just put out the same 10 songs every? I don't know, but yeah, it's again a good tune, overplayed, but
Must have been some greatest hits and shit.
yeah. Again, back when I was ordering that stuff, I didn't know. Yeah, I couldn't tell you
Do
if it was
you
going to be a
still
great.
have them? Do you still have those?
Oh no,
Because AC/DC is one of those bands that ain't never released the greatest hits. They're
Doesn't
one of
matter.
they're
The record label will.
no, I mean they've never put. That's never been put out sold. The only one they've ever done is Who Made Who. That's it.
and I know that was one
That's
of them.
it.
I know that was one of the cassettes I had. I had
But
Back in Black. Who Made
Back in
Who.
Black wasn't on Who Made Who though.
No.
No, I'm just saying, but I know that I had that one.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm trying to figure out where in the heck.
Maybe they were on K-Tel albums or something like that.
They put a couple of live albums out, but that's it. They ain't put many live albums out. They ain't got.
I'm guessing it's a long time ago. I'm guessing they were more like the K-Tel Rock and Roll Express, compilation albums and stuff. Maybe
Could've
I
been.
don't know.
Yeah. Were there different bands?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably
Maybe.
it. Because if there is,
Okay. So who left off where?
I left off on number 4, so it's used.
Number 4. Okay, number 4. I think Darren touched on this one. Rock and roll ain't noise pollution. My neighbor, Greg Rockenbach, loved this fucking song, and kind of got me a little hooked on it. Not again. I'll tell you what. For as good as this album is, none of these songs would make my AC/DC playlist if I made one. Because the ones I love on here, I've heard way too fucking much.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. That's settle down, Scott. That's why. But yeah, rock and roll ain't noise pollution. A good tune, a strong tune, one of the strongest ones on the album. So it falls at number 4.
Yeah, and Hail Caesar's on my playlist now, bro. I've been listening to that damn. I didn't even know that existed. I mean, I know it existed, but I just never.
Didn't give it the time of day.
Yeah, I think that video kind of brings it out too, man. That's pretty fucking cool. All right, number 4. Number 4. I think both of you guys have. I don't know if I know Rob has. This one is a lot of people's favorite one, and it's a staple in every show that I know of. Shoot to Thrill, Way to Kill. Too many women with
Really?
heels, baby. Whew.
That's a staple?
Yes. Yeah, man. Yep. Shoot to Thrill, man. God damn. Awesome. number 4 from me.
Okay.
Number 3. I guess I fell more into the nostalgia than Rob did. Number 3 for me is Have a Drink on Me. I can't say it's all nostalgia because I think that's a kick-ass song. Granted.
No, me and you got closer on that.
Is that Deucer? Is that Deuce or Ebony?
That's Ebony.
All right. Anyway. So, yeah. What did I say? Have a drink on me. So, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, man.
Thank you so much, Mark.
We got closer on that one than you and Rob did. I think Rob had that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rob had that at number 8.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay, so it's my number 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
A virtual unknown for me climbing up to number 3 on an album filled with hits is shocking, to say the least. What You Do for Money, Honey. I fucking love this song, and I think I may have misspoke because this one I did add to my playlist. This is a fucking great fucking song, and if it wouldn't be for the absolute legends that I just can't disrespect, this would have been number 1.
Wow. You're right. That is fucking fantastic, dude. And it was on a jukebox in a pool hall when I was young. My brother used to take me. And I don't know if it was a B-side. It may have been on the old 45s, you know. And I remember hearing it
right
there. So, all right. Number 3 for me is Get Off Your Ass and Get Down Here, because rock and roll ain't no riddle, man. Rock and roll ain't noise pollution. Hell yeah. Rock and roll ain't gonna die. Number 3. That's a overkill one over the years, but I still love the beat. Man, it's just so freaking badass. Number 3.
Well, that's got to be a staple too, right?
You know.
No?
Believe it or not, no.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah. It's,
okay.
Yeah. This whole album, they can pick and choose, but this is the one that they probably, well, it's for a fact they play the most off of. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Darren.
Number 2. This is where I put Shoot to Thrill. This is a fucking rockin' tune. I didn't realize this was a staple, like you had said, Scott, but it should be. If it isn't, it should have been, because this is a kick-ass tune.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so number 2 to me. I agree with everybody's sentiment. One of the most overplayed songs of all time. But unlike Rock and Roll All Night, this is actually a fantastic song versus an average song, and that is You Shook Me All Night Long. Every bit as epic and memorable is the video with Brian Johnson scrubbing his back with his boots on in the bathtub. I mean, I don't ever want to hear this song again. This is right up there with Rock and Roll All Night and Here I Go Again from Whitesnake. Great songs, especially Here I Go Again and You Shook Me All Night Long, but the overplay you couldn't escape for 20 fucking years, you really still can't, whether you're listening to Hair Nation or some classic VH1 show, whatever bar you go into, you're going to hear Here I Go Again and You Shook Me All Night Long, whether you want to or not. But I can't, a lot of times I will dock something for overplay. But some songs, in my opinion, are just so fucking good that I have to give it the props. And that's the case here, even though I do not ever want to hear it again. That is strictly due to ad nauseum overplay by every bar, company, TV, radio station that you could think of.
Biggest hit they ever had, man. Yep. Okay. Number 2, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. Down the snake pit. A song that doesn't get any love, and I love it because it's just that damn good, and it's probably one of the heaviest songs on here, pound for pound, man. And I understand you can't make every song on the album a staple. You can't put every single out for every song. Shake a leg, man. And they do shake a damn leg on this sumbitch Angus with that lead, man. And it's a hard rocking. This is heavy metal AC/DC, and the next two albums to follow is even probably heavier and fucking great sounding too. It is just absolutely great. I've heard nobody, not like the song, but it's never, talked about that much. It's kind of a...
Out of all the songs on this album, it's the least listened to on Spotify by a large margin.
God, what happened to you? Okay, more streaming difficulties. Scott, where were you at?
My number 2 was Shake a Leg. We're getting ready to hit everybody's number 1.
Okay. Darren?
Hey, my numero uno was What Do You Do for Money, Honey? I think that's a fucking kick-ass tune.
Yeah.
I know, Rob, you had it at number 3. But this is one of them. Again, I don't think it's the most well-known song on the album, and I was taking a peek at that Black Sabbath album that Scott wants us to listen to while he was gone. What Do You Do for Money, Honey? 1, 2, 3. It's the 4th least listened to on Spotify off of this album.
Wow.
Really?
Yes. So I don't, like I said, I think when it comes to
you got to understand, though, when it comes to Spotify and stuff like that, you got your people who only know the hits.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, and I get it. The top 4 songs are Back in Black is number 1. You Shook Me All Night Long is number 2. Each one of them has over 1 billion. And then 3rd is Hell's Bells, and then Shoot to Thrill is 4.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then the rest of them, the next 6 aren't even close. It's like a 10th of the listens that Shoot to Thrill and Hell's Bells.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the problem with catering your music to the youth of the last 20 years and counting. The attention span of a fucking gnat can only be bothered to go and grab or listen to a song that somebody else turned them on to without once having a light bulb going on thinking, if I like this, maybe I should check out the rest. So those bands who are catering to those fans are making a giant fucking mistake. But it is what it is. Okay, so that was Darren's number 1. My number 1, probably the most overplayed song on the planet, next to maybe Hound Dog from Elvis Presley or something. Back in Black. Yours truly even used it as the groomsman came out in his wedding, to the chagrin and laughs of a bunch of old, prudy people.
I remember that.
You can't deny one of the greatest, most epic fucking anthems ever. And it doesn't even meet the credentials of what an anthem is, but it has become that. This is We Will Rock You. This is fucking Rock and Roll All Night. There are a handful of songs in history that your grandma's cousin's neighbor's old babysitter will know the song, and they don't ever listen to rock. I mean, it's just one of those songs. Again, I don't care if I ever hear it again. It doesn't irritate me as much as You Shook Me All Night Long with the overplay, because it is such a badass rocker. But again, I can't let overplay penalize a band that I don't listen to every day. I can penalize the shit out of Kiss for overplay because I've listened to the songs for 45 years, not with, AC/DC. So I still give Back in Black my number 1 spot.
you're all grown up.
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't have expected that from you 10 years ago. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have kind of expected Rob to be more into the "Let Me Put My Love Into You" or "Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution" type song on here. They're all hard, they're all heavy, but those have got a little bit lower of a tempo. But hey, Back in Black is freaking wicked, man. I love it. And
It basically, when you hear AC/DC, when you hear the name AC/DC, I don't care who you are, 99.9% of everybody's going to say Back in Black. What's the first thing that comes to mind? AC/DC, Back in Black. I mean, they may not even be their favorite song, but it's that synonymous with the name AC/DC. And to me, that's something that can't be ignored in my list, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, ring the bell, man. What do you do for money, honey? Where do you get your kicks? Squeezing all the blood out of men. Hell yeah, man. You talking about a rocking fucking song, bro. And I mean turning tricks left and right. Man, that is a badass song. Like I said, dang, man, you can't release everything, dude. And they done everything right. I mean, it just proves, but wow.
I got a few dirty looks the other day because I was listening to this album when I was picking my child up from the school bus. Had all the windows down, the sunroof open, and I'm cranking AC/DC, and this song comes on, and I'm just, bopping along to it in the front seat, and of course, I mean the bus drops her off at another school, right? But I got all these young kids walking in their school uniforms, walking past my car, just giving me this weird look. It's like, what kind of old trash is this person listening to? And it's like, what do you do for money, honey? Yeah, it was a fun time.
Well, one thing I've noticed around here, because my kids just started high school this year, and we go into the football game and stuff. My son, he's played since he was 6, but he took this year off, but we'll still go to the games. He's going to start back next year.
And forgive me, where are you located? What part of the country are you in?
North Carolina, western North Carolina, close to we're in the foothills, close to Appalachia, in that area. Below that, about 60 miles west of Charlotte.
Okay.
And yeah, man, and it's people, man, I see these kids, and I love it. I love it. The Walmart shirts, they're walking around with Motley Crue and Kiss and AC/DC, man, and they probably don't even know what the hell they got on, but they're wearing them everywhere, dude, and it's just like, hell yeah, man, I love this shit. But my kids grew up with it. They didn't have a choice. So they pretty much know a lot of this stuff, man. But yeah, man, an absolutely banger of an album. It has been. This is one of those albums that never gets old. That number one's.
Okay, I got a lot of slicing and editing to do with more technical difficulties, but we're finished. We're just going to wrap this up here. Scott was praising this album, and rightfully so. I will still go on record saying that as great as this is, it is not my favorite AC/DC album this far. That is still rock or bust for me. But we'll see what comes along after this.
I really need to check that one out then. If you really like that much.
Yeah.
That is as sincere as I can get. That's not lip service. That's not trying to please Scott or anybody else. I fucking love that album.
And
2014.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that you may possibly like the next two behind this better than this. Now, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that. I don't know for sure, but they're fucking great. And actually, For Those About to Rock was my favorite Brian album for a long time, and it's still close. So,
and put it this way, Derek, to put it in perspective, why I love it so much. I've always loved AC/DC's music, but I've never been a fan of Bon Scott's Nonstop, or not Bon Scott, Brian Johnson's Nonstop. On Rock or Bust, that motherfucker sings, and it is fucking fabulous. It impressed me to no end. So,
don't forget, guys.
I know what I'm listening to tomorrow.
Don't forget our next review, Run DMC, Walk This Way. I think I got that for a quarter somewhere. I just picked it up. Because I think a couple of them guys are dead now, right?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I think so. And I just said, well, it's worth a quarter. It's in good condition. So there you go.
So occasionally in the past, when I have like purchased albums from a Facebook group I'm a part of, sometimes they'll slide in another album kind of as protection, but it's usually something that they've picked up for a quarter. But like one of the very first times that somebody had slipped in another album, I open up the package and I slide it out, and it's fucking Motley Crue. And I'm going, some mother bastard sent me Motley Crue instead of the album I ordered. Thankfully, the album I ordered was in there, but the filler album was Theater of Pain.
Well, right? That's why. That's
yeah,
why.
exactly. Because it's the worst. It's the worst of the worst, right? So they threw. But I can't stand Motley Crue. So, like I said, I got rickrolled. It's like the equivalent of getting rickrolled.
I love Theater of Pain, man.
Wow.
Well, I'll ship it to you. You pay for shipping, and it's yours.
All right, Scott, what's the next AC/DC album?
The next AC/DC album, guys, it's coming up, is one that you're actually going to be familiar with somewhat. The Razor's Edge.
Yeah, baby. At least two songs.
There's going to be some
Thunderstruck
songs on there,
and what else?
Money Talks.
Money Talks.
Yeah.
Those will be the two that I know.
You're going to like some of these songs, I think, better than Thunderstruck on here, too, man. Because it's.
I hope you're right, but I would just not take a breath and hold it too long.
I like that song, but it's not more near my favorite on the album, man. Like I said before, that's AC/DC's Kiss Revenge.
Okay.
It's pretty much the same time, and the supposed to be comeback album. Look, I love it. I got nothing against it, but you're going to tell me this album's going to get praised like it's a holy grail over Blow Up Your Video, Fly on the Wall, Flick and Switch? I just don't see it. Okay? I don't know. Maybe it's a time thing. I don't know. But I do like it.
So we got our AC/DC homework. We got our Black Sabbath homework. Darren's working on another alternative picked band, not alternative music, but alternative to Kiss and AC/DC. So we got a lot coming your way. So everybody out there, check out Mob Rules, Black Sabbath, Razor's Edge, AC/DC, so you can rank yours along with us. As soon as Darren gets me one, we'll get that out to you as well. Me and Scott will finish tonight or tomorrow. We got halfway through, and then life happened, ranking the Kiss album cover, so that'll be coming your way tonight or tomorrow as well. So, anything else?
I'm good here.
That's a wrap.
All right, everybody. Until next time, thanks for watching.